Hey, look YouTube, and welcome back to a new video of Rams Fan YT. In today's video, we will be going through my League One predictions. Very exciting. I would say it's a weakened league this year, League One. I don't think it's as strong as it was last time, but that will just make it even more exciting and even more close come the end of the season towards the top end of the table. There's a few runners and riders who people are nailing on as a definite title contenders. There's people who are unsure about whether they're going to have the right investment, whether they've had too much investment. But after all of these are just opinions and based on my research. Let's get straight into it. With 24th, I've gone with Leyton Orient. They've experienced non-league more recently than League One football, and over the last few years, the teams who have come acclimatised to non-league or League Two football do tend to struggle to adjust to League One's mixed bunch of big clubs with getting almost 30,000 fans in the case of Derby and a few others, to having people getting 9,000. Furthermore, the only experience Richie Wellens has had at League One was a tragic 13 points in 19 games at Doncaster, lasting only 119 days. Furthermore, his style of play of high intensity, playing from the back, may work more in a more lackadaisical, slow and physical League Two. But League One pounces on any mislaid pass at the back. As a Derby fan, I know this all too well. Therefore, I put Richie Wellens as one of the best of the League Two managers, but I don't think he quite knows how to bridge the gap to the league above. 23rd, Shrewsbury Town. This team overachieved last season. However, they have lost their manager Steve Cotterill, who reaped so much success due to the long sustainability of a club. It has become apparent that the manager has got restricted funds, hence why he left and the new one came in, and they have lost key players such as Matthew Pennington and Luke Leahy. They haven't really replaced that quality, and they brought in a manager who has only ever had experience in League Two. 22nd, Oxford United. Liam Manning hasn't got the resources or influence to implement his attacking style of play, hence why he was responsible for MK Dons' relegation last season. For they also seem to be overly focused on attack, leaving the defence absolutely stranded. So, despite everyone being impressed at their signings, they will leak too many goals and be relegated. 21st, Wigan Athletic. Due to the -8 points deduction, it will hamper them in terms of attracting players to the club, and also a general disadvantage just due to the points they have to make up. I feel this season will be quite exciting for everybody thinking that they will just manage to survive. But due to this league having 4 teams relegated, which is a lot compared to most leagues, they might as well just be relegated. 20th, Exeter City. Gary Caldwell is a poor manager, and they would be relegated if it wasn't for the other teams in Wigan's points deduction. Caldwell has been relegated 3 times, and maybe a 4th if he didn't get sacked beforehand. The loss of Archie Collins, Jamal Blackman, Giovanni Brown, Jack Sparks, Josh Key, and Jake Caprice all fundamentally weaken the squad. They don't have a good enough right side any player to fit their 3-4-2-1 formation, which they've actually adopted out of necessity rather than tactics. All this is seriously concerning, but as I said, Wigan's plight will enable them to survive. 19th, Portsmouth. So everybody, it seems, is tipping Pompey to be a dark horse this year with some of their signings. But let's be honest, their squad is way too big, and if the results don't come forthwith, there will be splits in the dressing room, and that will cause a serious struggle. I'm also still to be drawn on John Mousinho, who I'm convinced they appointed because his name sounds like Jose Mourinho. Yes, he did decent last season, but he didn't need to sign 13 players to improve that squad. Too many cooks spoil the broth to its max, I fear. 18th, Carlisle United. Paul Simpson is reliably known for getting clubs out of leagues, but also ensuring that they were still in a league as well. It's a perfect blend for this team who needs survival this season. Furthermore, the squad has been honed to enable survival by getting rid of some of the deadwood and bringing in some really good quality. 17th, Northampton Town. John Brady has averaged a win percentage of above 40% at every club he's been at. Plus, the jubilation from last season will carry them to a solid safety finish. They've also retained the core of that promotion-winning squad, so that success will continue for this season, but the gap in quality may be too much against some of the opponents, especially towards the top end of the table. 16th, Burton Albion. A club who many people still think of as minnows of this league, but let's not be disparaging, and they seem to find a way every season to stay up. Dino Mamria also knows how to get the best out of a team, which is a very close-knit squad that always manages to scrap and get points. And that's what it ultimately is all about at that end of the table. 15th, Cheltenham Town. We saw last season that there were signs of a decent League One team, however they were few and far between. This means that they will be a solid mid-table side. They've brought in experience, which was vastly needed in the players of Curtis Davis and Curtis Thompson, but overall the squad is young and energetic, and we could see maybe in the season after this one, the Robins really kicking on. 14th, Stevenage. Steve Evans, the manager, is really a Marmite manager, and his spell with Stevenage, though, cannot be denied as being successful. His experience will enable the club to survive comfortably, and the acquisitions of Ben Thompson, Harry Anderson, Nick Freeman, Alex McDonald, Louis Thompson, Nathan Thompson, and Dan Butler are all signings that have a great deal of experience at this level, but also of a decent age. This squad is definitely good enough for mid-table for me, with their hundreds of Thompsons. 13th, Cambridge United. Mark Bonner seems to keep this club rising, enabling them to be promoted and ensuring survival, albeit narrowly, and the next stage will be a mid-table finish. I look at the signings and they all seem positive. They seem to have fixed their goal drought by signing Elias Kachunga and Sulai Kaiki and Jordan Cousins, who can all provide in the build-up for goals. They've also improved the leaky defence with a spot stopper, Jack Stevens, who had 8 clean sheets last season and conceded on average 1.26 goals a match. Although this seems bad, it was also in the defence at Port Vale, who had a very poor defence in the back line. Danny Andrew was also a very experienced and powerful player, who definitely was at his best in 2016-17 with Grimsby, so the Cambridge fans will be hoping that he can look his former self at this season coming up. In 12th position, I have got nobody because I've absolutely frozen. Port Vale. Andy Crosby is a no-nonsense manager who prioritises defensive stability. And if you've kept a clean sheet, you're guaranteed a point. He's always been a good leader and has good organisation skills, as he showed when he was captain of Scunthorpe United. We must write off the first game of the season against Barnsley due to the new defence not having played much together and a very decent outfit in the Tykes, but it should come good come the end of the window, definitely. 11th, Bristol Rovers. A very physical side who knows how to grind out results. Joey Barton knows what it takes to get the best out of his team, and although aggressive and thuggish, it is effective at this level, especially in defence. Therefore, they will grind out a mid-table result. 10th, Fleetwood Town. The success in the FA Cup last season could be transferred into this season, and Ryan Broom has been a decent player at this level over the last couple of seasons. Danny Mayer is very good at League Two and helped Plymouth to promotion to the Championship only last season. And Ryan Graydon is versatile and a useful rotational player. Ultimately, they have good enough quality on the pitch to finish mid-table. In 9th place, I have got Peterborough United. They've lost many of their big hitters in the guises of Jack Taylor, Ben Thompson, Oliver Norburn, Joe Ward, Dan Butler, Christy Pym, and Frankie Kent. That's basically wrenched the heart out of midfield, and I also don't think they've adequately replaced the goalkeeper. Archie Collins seems to be the only decent signing thus far, and ultimately they won't be able to challenge for the playoffs with this weakened squad, despite Darren Ferguson being a decent manager. 8th, I've gone with Charlton Athletic. They've got new owners and a whole breath of new life, so it will seem much more positive this season. They've removed all the deadwood that has kept them dragged down in mid-table, but the signings this season have been a mixed bag. I would say that Alfie May, Teo Aduna and Terry Taylor are decent signings and will improve their performance this season, but they do need to have another season before they can really push on for promotion. 7th, Blackpool. Neil Critchley is well rehearsed with this Lancashire team, having gotten them promoted in 2021. I mean, he really wasn't given a chance at QPR to implement his authority. The signings of Richard O'Donnell rectify the worst goals conceded in the Championship last season, and Oliver Norburn is renowned for being a great player at this level. And Carl Joseph had a decent loan spell with Oxford last season, scoring 9 goals. Ultimately, it's a strong and competitive team, but the losses of Jerry Yates, who contributed to most of the goals last season, and Reece James, who provided a lot of crosses and assists, will both be monumental misses, meaning that they will bottle the playoffs. 6th, Reading. Despite the transfer embargo and the loss of George Puskas, Tom Ince, Yaku Mate, Lucas Yao, Luke Southwood, Naby Sarr, Junior Hoylett, and Scott Dan, they have actually still got a decent squad. I mean, they've still got Anthony Carroll, for goodness sake. However, some of the incomers are actually also very decent at this level. Notably, Harvey Nibbs, Sam Smith, Lewis Wing, Charlie Savage, and Harley Dean. They definitely have added towards the quality removed. I do feel the club is a championship standard one still, and they will have an underdog mentality, especially seeing the amount of pundits writing them off, and therefore they will reach the playoffs. 5th, Wycombe Wanderers. A team which is always in or around the playoffs for League One, which still baffles me considering their budget. However, the signings are very shrewd, with Richard Keogh, who is certainly an experienced veteran, Luke Leahy, who's managed just over 100 appearances since 2021, and Joe Lowe, who I thought looked decent at Warsaw in the second half of the season, and clearly the Welsh manager agreed by calling up for the squad of the Euro qualifiers. Matt Bloomfield is also a steady hand for the club and will steer them to the playoffs. 4th, Bolton Wanderers. I strongly rate Ian Evatt as a manager, and who knows what it takes. He actually knows what it takes to get a club into the promotion picture. The way he plays football is attacking and possession-based. His style of play is to outscore the opposition and has been proven to work with the clubs he's managed, and he will do so this season with the quality at his disposal especially. For 3rd place, drum roll for the missing out on the playoffs. Again, I feel it's going to be very, very tight this season. I've gone with Barnsley. Just look at the opening day of the season. They've scored 7 goals in that. And I'm not basing the season on this, but their clinical edge in front of goal will power them to a top 3 finish. They will win the playoffs as well, and Neil Collins is an interesting appointment. He certainly has a strong and robust personality and knows a lot of the tactical side of the game. However, the lack of experience could show come the end of the season, really. 2nd, Lincoln City. The team tipped as underdogs of the season by myself and some other pundits. I do have to say that I would agree with some of these pundits. Ethan Erhahon and Ben House are 2 very decent players at this level, and Lucas Jensen adequately replaces Cole Rushworth in goal. Mark Kennedy makes teams that are hard to beat, and this enables his teams to attack well. If Ben House can get the service, he'll score 15 to 20 goals this season. Topped up by the rest of the squad, they'll surprise the league and finish as runners-up. 1st, Derby County. It is a much weaker League One, as I said, and some of the signings have been decent, with Callum Elder, Sonny Bradley, Martin Waghorn, Connor Washington, and Joe Ward. Paul Warne is also an expert at getting out of this league. He is called the League One Guardiola for a reason. I will not bow down to the fellow Derby fans who cry out that we are going to be woeful this season and Warne should be sacked. Ultimately, the club is a big enough name to bring in a centre forward come the end of the transfer window, and also the more the defence play with each other, the more they will know each other's games and the errors will be removed. They will then be at their very best and have a great run to the end of the season to finish at the top of the league. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new around here. Also, let me know your League One questions down below in the comments. I will do Championship ones tomorrow and then Premier League ones the day after, hopefully before the Premier League season starts and not too many fixtures have taken place. But goodbye for now.